Welcome to another Jack the Best video. In this video, I will cover what iPhone you should get for yourself or someone else this Christmas and which ones are worth your money. Just a side note, I will not be comparing it with Android phones, just between what Apple phones are worth your money. So, with that out of the way, let's get started. For phones below the iPhone SE, you shouldn't even give a thought to buying them. If you're low on funds, just get a cheap Android phone that has better specs. And if you want an Apple phone, just think about getting a phone that costs slightly more money. Okay, so to start, the iPhone SE can be found for around $100. And if you are on a tight budget or prefer the smaller sizes, like if you're buying it for a child who will use it, then this phone is quite good, especially as its tiny price point for an iPhone. Also, we cannot be sure it will get iOS 14 next year, so be aware of that when buying it. Now, on to the next phone. The iPhone 6s and its Plus counterpart still have the latest operating system, iOS 13. Although there are no promises that they will be updated to iOS 14 next year. They have an okay camera and all right specs, but in comparisons to newer phones, they are not worth it, except if you have a small budget, as these can be found for prices under $200. However, if you can find good deals on phones like the iPhone 8, then they feel a lot snappier and will last much longer on updates than this phone. The iPhone 7 and 7 Plus are now discontinued by Apple, so because of this, you can find them at good prices at stores as they try to clear out their stock. Although you can do this, it is not worth it, as the iPhone 8 can be found for prices similar to this. However, the iPhone 8 will stay on updates for a year longer, meaning the iPhone 7 should not be bought. The iPhone 8 and the iPhone 8 Plus are very good value at $449, especially if you're not ready for the new design and would like a decently spec'd phone as good as the iPhone 10. However, unless you specifically want this or want a significantly cheaper phone that's still good, you should get an iPhone XR or 11 or even an iPhone 10 as they're better value for your money. You will now have trouble finding the iPhone X new, as they are no longer on sale by Apple. However, if you get them refurbished, you can find good deals, like for $500, which is the same as the iPhone 8 is often going for. But I would recommend getting the 10R or 11 at this price, unless you really want an OLED screen on a cheaper iPhone. In most respects, the iPhone XR is the same as the iPhone 11, but for only one camera instead of two, worse battery life, and a worse chip. If you prefer one of the colours on the XR, just get it instead. However, having said that, the iPhone 11 is a lot better deal, as it's a lot more modern. Even though the iPhone XS and XS Max are discontinued, and they're really good phones, I just can't recommend them, as for around the same price you can get an iPhone 11, which is just so close to the iPhone 11 Pro Max or the XR, which is cheaper. The iPhone XS and XS Max are only good if you want a not as expensive premium phone with an OLED screen. The iPhone 11 is the successor to the iPhone XR and is $100 more. However, in my opinion, it is the best phone sold by Apple, as it's $300 less than the iPhone 11 Pro Max, but still has most of the same features, but it's slightly slower, and it doesn't have 3 cameras, but only has 2. And finally, it's LCD, not OLED. If you don't know the difference, then you can't tell it, so it doesn't matter. Finally, the most expensive phones sold by Apple, the 11 Pro and the 11 Pro Max. For most people, they're not worth it. However, if you're a professional and need the best that Apple can give you right now, then this is the phone for you. If you're not a professional, then this isn't the phone for you. Just get an iPhone 11 or an iPhone XR instead. This is because of the high prices at $9.99 and $10.99 respectively, which is just not worth it in any way, shape or form. My recommendation for you to buy is the SE if you're on a budget, the 8 or 8 Plus if you don't spend too much money or like the old design. Now, the main recommendation is the 11 because it's the best value that you can buy for your money with an iPhone. And finally, get the 11 Pro Max if you're a professional who needs the best iPhone. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to leave a like and maybe even subscribe.